Hi, I'm Gary West, and welcome to the very first edition of Kentucky Sports Legends. Today we profile Ron Bevars, head coach of the North Hardin High School men's basketball team. Ron was born on May the 21st, 1943 to Rudell and Lloyd Bevars in Hart County, Kentucky. Ron was the firstborn of 6 children, and the family lived in Hart County until 1950. By 1954, the family had settled in the small town of Upton, Kentucky, located in the southern tip of Hardin County. Ron would later attend and play basketball for Sonora High School in Sonora, Kentucky. After consolidation of county schools in 1962, Ron would play his senior year at East Hardin High School. After graduating high school in 1963, Ron attended Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in 1970. Ron Bevars became the head coach at North Hardin in 1975 after serving as assistant coach for 4 years. In 33 years as head coach, Ron had become one of the most legendary high school basketball coaches in Kentucky's history. He has an impressive record of 702 wins and only 294 losses, ranking him 4th among all-time Kentucky high school basketball coaches. The 702 wins also ranks him number 1 for coaches who are still currently active. In January of 2008, North Hardin Gym was renamed Ron Bevers Gymnasium. Ron Bevers is truly a Kentucky sports legend. I'm Gary West, and thanks for watching.
I'm Bob Watkins, and today I'm with the winningest active coach in Kentucky high school basketball. Ron, tell us about your background.
I was actually born in Hart County, a place called Lone Stars, about 6 miles from Upton, and it's about 6 miles from Bonneville, but it was in Hart County. I was born on a farm. There was several kids in our family, six kids in our family. We moved around quite a bit after we sold the farm. My dad did several different jobs, and we finally ended up in Upton, and I believe about 55. It was after my 4th grade year, and my mother told me at that time that I'd been in 20 different schools. I didn't value education very much. I could barely read or write when I entered the 8th grade. I was 2 years behind. I'd failed the 4th grade because we'd moved all those times. I didn't start school until I was 7. And like I said, I wasn't in school enough to learn. I guess it was the fall of '58, at the 8th grade, and I was waiting to turn 16 to drop out of school. I was going to be a body man. My father had developed into a pretty good body man within, and that was going to be my goal. Dad said you always have to have a trade, and that was going to be my trade. Developed an interest in baseball and softball a little bit. I wasn't a very good player. And Bobby Humes came in. Had just got out of the Air Force, and along the fall of the year, he was going to start a basketball team. We hadn't had a team there for a couple of years, and he was going to start a basketball team back. We didn't have a gym or anything. So he asked me if I was interested, and I said, no, I'm more of a baseball player. And he said, well, we get out of school one afternoon during basketball season to go practice. I thought, well, that's a pretty good deal, because I wasn't too much on school back then anyway. I sort of developed an interest in reading. I mean, I started reading the sports section. And I had a bunch of little girls in class, and I'd ask them, what's that word? And they'd say, you're dumb. I said, I know it, but I'm trying to get smart. So anyway, I got interested in basketball. That was my first interest in basketball. From that time on, I probably played every day I could. When I wasn't working in the garage, I was playing basketball. And I developed a love for the game, and I also developed an interest in trying to learn. I think I didn't know anything, but I think it was just the fact that I'd never applied myself. I'd never been encouraged. My parents did the best they could do, but you know, sometimes that's the best they can do.
This is the house I lived in when I was a junior and senior in high school, maybe sophomore. I can't remember. There was 6 kids and my mother and dad. We had no running water. Heated with wood and coal. As you can see, the garage was a little higher priority than our house at that time, but that's where he made his living. And
well, what was your dad? Was he a general mechanic, a body man?
I always thought my dad was a real good body man, but you know, in a town like Upton, there wasn't enough work to keep him busy, so he did a little bit of all kind of repairs. He was a mechanic.
You weren't living uptown.
He wasn't living uptown, so I literally was raised in a junkyard. And
this is part of your past.
It's part of my history.
Part of your history. I love coming back, and it doesn't make any difference. It is part of us. So we've got, and that's what part of this is what made us what we are today.
Yeah. Being a part of the Sonora basketball program was a very important part of my life. There was a principal there named Dillard Moore, and Dillard is famous in this part of the country for doing this kind of thing for kids. He developed an interest in me and sort of looked after me. I mean, he was, once again, he had some tough love. You know, Dillard had some tough love, but he would also brag on you and make over. He took me to my first state tournament when I was a junior.
Well, what about academically? You obviously made leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I tell you what, that first year in high school was pretty tough. Like I said, I developed an interest in trying to learn, but when you don't know a verb from a noun, and you're a freshman in high school, makes it pretty tough. Had some really good teachers that worked with me. I'm sure Mr. Moore had a whole lot to do with making sure that I got those D's. And there was a lot of teachers in school that did a lot for me, I'm sure.
Where did college come into it? That must have been a planet away or something.
You know, nobody in my family had ever been to college, and I thought about going to college, and there was 2 people there. Dillard Moore came down. I was at this time I was a senior at East Hardin, and he was still a principal at Sonora there after consolidation of schools. He and a lady named Ollie Clark. Ollie was a friend of the family, always looked after me. You know, did stuff for me. They picked me up and took me to Western. Must have been on spring break. Got me registered for financial aid. Got me set, you know, registered. I mean, I had no way. I would have, you know.
Yeah.
And so, then the next fall I entered Western and going to school, and it took me, like I said, it took me 7 years to get through college. I didn't go to school full time. I worked a lot of the times, but it took me a long time. It was a struggle.
Ron, this was where you played your junior year, last year at Sonora High School. You all had a pretty fair ball club, and I know you were the 2nd or 3rd leading scorer in the district that year. Tell us a little bit about that season.
We had a group of guys that I think we had about 9 juniors. I believe it was 9 juniors that had played together as freshmen in the JV league. Didn't win a game, but he played us JV as a freshman. And then our sophomore year, we played JV again, and we won. Had a really good year. You know, Sonora had a run of not very good teams after having a really good run. When you and I came to, we like to think we were pretty good players, but you know, they weren't that many good players. But we were getting ready to make another run. It looked like with a lot of those young kids that came through here. Of course, consolidation took place, and those kids went to East Hardin. I was more of a swing player. I probably played in today's thing, the small forward or the 2 guard. We didn't call it back then.
We both had fun here. This was walking back in here a few minutes ago and looking around, and we're thinking this gym was opened in 1959, I believe, and it's still a great facility. Looking at the floors, these are the original floors. It's still a wonderful facility. So what our plan is going to be here in the future is to reacquire this and make it a great community center here in Sonora and keep some of our history that from the past back in here again. And I know I'm looking forward to working with you, and you're going to help me on that project, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
It's a great idea. I mean, it's like I said, it's a wonderful facility. But for its day and time, it's one of the best gyms that you can have. It's still a great place.
It's still a great place.
When did it occur to you that you might want to get into coaching?
It wasn't one of those deals where I said I want to be a high school basketball coach. I just liked the game. I wanted to be a part of it. I think I could have been perfectly happy being the 8th grade coach at North Warren, which was my first job. I did work there 1 year. Then I ended up at Howell Valley as the 7th grade coach, and Bo O'Brien, our good friend Bo O'Brien, he got drafted at North Hardin, and then I went up there and became an assistant coach. And when I got to the high school level, I guess that was the first time I really started thinking about being
A leader of men.
a leader of young
A
men.
leader of boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, would you say, and I guess you'd have to say that your travails as you came along have really been a major influence in your own dealing with kids, right?
I always joke with a lot of the teachers. I've had a good relationship, I think, with the faculty and teachers that I have. But I always joke with them. The thing wrong with school is all the teachers that come there are smart. They were all smart.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They don't understand that there's kids down there that are not as smart as they are. We're not all born. We're not all born with the same capabilities. And I always tried to. To give some kids some allowance from when they came from a hard situation. I've had a lot of poor kids that I've coached at North Hardin.
Do you have an appreciation for how far you come, or do you just kind of?
Well, I think you always try to appreciate everything. I do. I try to appreciate everything that
Day by day?
Day by day. I've had 2 heart surgeries. I'm thankful I'm alive. I was in a bad car wreck a few years ago and could have been very easily killed. So I think you have to have an appreciation for what you've come. But do you forget where you try not to forget where you came from. Even though some of the experiences that you had in your childhood might be painful, you try to always. I always try to. Yeah, to answer your question, I try to be thankful for what's happened to me. I probably wouldn't have ever got the job, Bob. I don't know whether I've ever told you this before or not, but you endorsed me for the coaching when you was the writer for the News Enterprise. I guess it was the Hardin County Enterprise at that time, but you endorsed me, and I told you I do appreciate that endorsement, because I think it went a long ways with the community. I think it went a long ways with the Ray story. I've always thought that I always thought and enjoyed reading your articles. It was and to this day I still read your articles. I think you're a wonderful writer.
Thank you.
The old saying goes that tradition never graduates. That you're always going to have that. Your kids go on, but tradition does not graduate. And I think we've been able to keep that, sort of intact. Any basketball coach can tell you how hard it is to win a regional championship, how hard it is to win a basketball game, much less a regional championship. The trophies that we've got here, we've got 2 Final Fours, actually 3 Final Fours and a runner-up trophy. These are our regional championship trophies. Our balls are up here. We've got district championship trophies in the office, and our district championship balls are up here. We're so proud of what we've got going on here.
And now I'll make a presentation of the runner-up trophy to Ron Beviers and his North Hardin.
Do they all come together from Vine Grove, or they'd grown up together or something?
Robbie Brett and William Barker, Steve Spillman,
Yeah.
all played Peanut League baseball together. I think they were all on the same Peanut League team. And then we picked up Marvin Watts. I think he was an Army kid.
Yeah.
He came in, but those kids were all raised right there, and that was a very, very, very good team. We won 22 games when they were sophomores. And we were fortunate enough to get James Jetter, that came in with that mix. Was a great player. We won everything but the state championship. Won the LIT.
Won everything but the state championship.
Yeah, we won the LIT. The AIT was big back then. Played a big name schedule. We beat Bryan Station twice when they were ranked number 1. We were ranked number 2. But it was just a good run, and those kids never got to enjoy the ride. They never enjoyed the ride.
Why?
They'd set a goal to win the state championship that year before when we got beat. And along the way, it was not time to celebrate. We didn't celebrate when we won the region much. Not much, a little bit, But they never, and to this day I talk to some of the kids. And
They still feel unfulfilled, or not?
I think they do. I told them, I said, guys, it's time to enjoy what you did. It's been
Sure it is.
25, 30 years later. It's time to, hey, it's time.
It's past time.
Yeah, it's way past time. I mean, we had a great run, but it was a good bunch of kids. Interesting bunch to coach. I had run them out of practice 2 or 3 times, and they thought they knew everything. But it was a good bunch of kids.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel really good about that run, or are you haunted by the fact that one shot? I hate to even say spoiled it, because y'all won 60-some games or more in that 3-year run.
I had nightmares for a long time.
You did.
Yeah. I mean, did I ever get over it? No. It's time for me to move on, but I haven't.
Yeah, you have. You just put it in the bag of hurts and went on.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think about it every day.
No.
Not anymore.
But for a while, I did.
Laurel County had a good basketball team.
They sure did.
They had a fine basketball team. We knew it was not going to be an easy game, and we beat them in the finals LIT that year, 10 points. And we'd run that same play at the end of the 3rd quarter. If I diagram it out, we had 3 guys across midcourt. One got Brett Burrow back, one at midcourt, one on each side. All of them standing on the midcourt line. Brett was back, and we were going to throw it to Brett if they did double team him. And they double teamed him. So, but he got open. He could have caught the ball. The ball went over his head. Andrews was playing behind him. They had one in front of him, one behind him. Andrews caught the ball, and just the pass just sailed a little bit long, just carried a little bit long.
You might look for something like they're not putting any pressure on the ball. 2 men guarding Burrow, though he's under the basket. Barker's going to inbound it from in front of the Laurel County bench. Allen and Watts at the timeline. Long feed into Burrow. It's intercepted by Andrews. 1 second. Bomb at the buzzer in the air. It's good! It's fouled!
Did I run that play more? I ran it a few times, but not now.
We're in Ron Bevier Gymnasium at North Hardin High School. I want to introduce the folks that we're here with. Of course, this is Ron Bevier, the head basketball coach up here. Close friend of his, Kenny Tabb, who is the Hardin County clerk, and Ron's former assistant, Bo O'Brien.
Bo was a track coach here at North Hardin. Had James Jetter established the track tradition that we've got enjoyed here all these years. So we've won a bunch of girls regions, a bunch of boys regions, and Bo was sort of the forerunner of this. I just learned that my good friend Kenny over here started the track program, and he was telling a story which I'd like for this to be part of it, because it is a good story. But he actually was the first track coach.
Bo was just talking about me being the cross country and track coach at North. This was back when we were located in Vine Grove. I didn't get to do the track portion because I got drafted in the middle of the school year. They named me the cross country coach and told me I was going to have to take the cross country team to West Hardin. And I said, how am I supposed to get them there? And the assistant principal looked out the window and he said, that old school bus out there. I said, what do you mean? I said, I can't drive a school bus. I've never ridden in one. So anyway, I did drive a school bus, and we did get there and back, luckily. And Ron is a graduate of East Hardin High School, scored the first basket for East Hardin High School in the 62-63 school year when East Hardin first became a high school. So we've all got ties to East Hardin High School as well. Old East Hardin High School, I might add. No longer in existence.
We've added another guest to our group here, and I want to introduce Ray Story, former retired principal here, who also has the football stadium. It's now called Story Stadium. He was a great leader and principal here at North Hardin. He hired Mr. Bevers, Coach Bevers, to his first job here.
One thing that really impressed me with Ron early was Ron wanted to get better. From the time we hired Coach Bevers, he really went to work and made North Hardin a basketball power. And once he was named head coach, he set out to get better, and he attended the major clinics in the Kentucky Anna area for several years. He had a desire to get better. Now, I never did have the opportunity to meet his parents, that Ron inherited the best of both of his parents and made the absolute most of both of them. I'm sure they would both be very, very proud right now, just as I am and this community is. I've never run into a guy that hated to lose like Ron Bevers. Now, he would also sometimes try to referee a little bit because of that, I think. And I guess if there was one thing that I would have corrected had I had the ability to pass the cast the magic wand, would be that he let the referees referee and he coach, and he was doing a better job of coaching than they were refereeing, but he's not the one to decide that.
I think you told me once you hired me to coach and not referee.
The main thing that I will always remember and appreciate is what he did for the students, and not just the players, but the students here at North Hardin, because he was and has always been a student-oriented type person. And when you see some of these players come back and talk about how Mr. Bevers helped him and everything, and it's good to hear, and you know that it's the truth.
I tell you what, we may need a handkerchief here in a minute. I mean, this is pretty deep. I certainly appreciate all you said about me, but I don't know where this guy was when I went to a clinic. I did go to a lot of clinics. I still go to a lot of clinics. But I went to see Ray Mears speak, and Ray Mears turned the program into orange, totally orange down there. Sugar things on the table were orange and everything. So I came back and I was all fired up. Our gym was sort of, I call it institutional gray. It was sort of blob, and it was a new gym, but we need some color in there. So I went to him and I said, Mr. Story, I went to this clinic, I explained it to him about Ray Mears and everything. And he, the gym was new, it didn't need painting, but it needs some color. But anyway, I see right away he wasn't going to go for that. So I just thanked him and turned and walked out of his office. Like I said, I always tried to support his decisions, but I wasn't pleased with this one. So about an hour later, he comes back there, and I'm working, and he walks up to me and he says, how much of that orange paint do you think we're going to need? And I said, I don't know. but we did get the gym painted blue, so.
I felt it had to be orange.
It's going to work, it's got to be orange.
I'm kind of glad he didn't get painted orange. That's good news, so.
Probably Ron and ours closest attachment, and this not basketball, has to do with PE. We taught in this gym. Some years we was in the gym 5 periods a day together. He'd have a class and I'd have a class, and we did a lot of combination of things, and we tried to have a real good physical ed program. And some of my stories, I guess, best stories of some of the things we did to have fun in the gym. And I want to tell one of them has to do with basketball, but it was homecoming football game, and Regina Vogue was always the homecoming director and all, and she came down that week and said, can I set those helium tanks in there for the balloons in y'all's office? I said, yeah, that'd be okay. You just say I'm in there. Well, Bevers and I, we was always looking for something to do. So I said, RB, what if we took some of those old basketballs, get the air smushed out of them, and put helium in them? And then watch those PE boys play basketball with those balls. And we was there, we had a game going, and they was all complaining, Coach, those balls were bouncing everywhere. And Bevers kept saying, just keep playing, jump higher. So, and those kind of stories, we could go on and on. Some of them, we did some things that I guess we have to be honest, if we did them today, we wouldn't have a job tomorrow. But that was back when and the thing is, some of those kids that we dealt with, they were PE kids, the same we did with the basketball players too. The ones you probably dealt the hardest on, they're the ones who today come back and say, Thank you. And things like that. And Ronnie, like I said, the basketball, we had great times, and we did have wins and losses. We have all kinds of stories. Basketball, it's just those 2 years that in 81, 82, then I stayed one more year before I went to East Hardin. 81, 82, I always kept telling people then, I said, I'm not sure how much coaching Ronnie's going to do, I'm going to do. I said, we got some thoroughbreds. We just got to do a lot of counseling and just make sure they stay on the right track, or in the right track, and they did. We just had awful good kids to get us over that hump on winning that first regional championship. And I always thought, I said, if we just get one of them, we're going to get a bunch of them. And it goes with the tradition of it. So it gets to you.
Bo, like I said, it goes back a long ways. There's a lot of stories that we had, and we did have fun. And we always took pride in our PE program here. I taught PE for 31 years here in Bo can tell you. We worked hard at it. We didn't just roll the balls out. We did a lot of other things. Now, we did play a lot of basketball because kids like basketball in Kentucky. We did play a lot of basketball, but we had a lot of activities, and come in the morning, and Bo was head of the PE department, and I'd ask him, what am I doing today? And he'd give me my assignment, and so I'd go off to do it. It was either archery or tennis or whatever we were doing that day. And Kenny over here, like I said, he's been a really good supporter of athletics. He's a high school basketball fan, but he's also a big football fan in high school. He's really supported the kids ever since he was young. I mean, we were in college together, and E-Town back then couldn't win the big games in the regional tournament, and we'd always ride him about it. He was always would get upset when he'd call home and find out E-Town got beat or something like this, and we'd pick at him a little bit, and we always had a good time. It was always lighthearted, and like I said, we always respected each other, but I always thought we had a really great time.
I knew Ron when he was in school from the standpoint of playing basketball, and but I didn't really know him personally because I'd gone to E-Town High, he'd gone to East Hardin. And I checked in the dormitory on a Sunday, and I noticed Dudley Moore, principal of Sonora School, had a student with him he had brought down to enroll. And lo and behold, it was Ron Bevers. And so Ron, I guess Mr. Moore had a lot to do with you going to college. I mean, it's kind of emotional to think about that, but I'm just really proud of what Ron has accomplished over the years. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's achieved. He's got one of the best records in the state of Kentucky. And I was down at East Hardin High School 19 years as mainly as assistant principal and athletic director. And he was a pain in our side the whole time I was there.
I think this is quite a tribute to my friend Ron Bevers here. And looking back up in here, and Ron Bevers Gymnasium. I don't know of anything can make you more proud of that right there, and it's quite an accomplishment, and for somebody well deserving too. So,
well, thank you. I'm not like I said, I'm not sure I deserve it, but I do appreciate it.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. It's a guy that went in the 8th and 9th grade, could barely read or write, and now 30-some years later, you're the winningest active basketball coach in the state of Kentucky, the great state of Kentucky. You've had a gymnasium still named after you, and you're still looking after those victories just like you were day one, and still wanting and still enjoy the game. I think that's fantastic. So I'm proud to know you, to be calling you my friend, and look forward to working with you on some projects that we got lined up down in Sonora.
Yeah, we'll get those things done.
We're going to get them done. Looking forward to it, buddy.
Thank you.
From humble beginnings to becoming a legendary high school basketball coach, Ron Bevers still continues his winning ways as he enters his 34th season as the North Hardin High School head basketball coach. Ron was inducted into the Kentucky Association of Basketball Coaches Court of Honor on March 19, 2002, becoming the first coach from the 5th Region to receive that honor. He has had over 20 assistant coaches and players go on to become head coaches, athletic directors, principals, and superintendents. He has had over 50 players receive scholarships during his tenure at North Hardin High School. His teams have won 16 district titles and 11 regional championships. And every time Coach Bevers has taken his Trojans to the regional finals, they are a perfect 11-0. Ron Bevers is truly a Kentucky sports legend.
He's got a lot of years in, but they're not old years. They're years that he's as ready to go at the beginning of the new year as the young ones out here on that are just starting and all this kind of thing. And if you don't believe it, you get into a tournament game and see what kind of class you're in.
I think we're all very proud of that.
And if you're not proud of that, you're hard to please.